"Are you kidding me? How could this happen?" shouted Gregory Kane, pacing back and forth in the glass-walled boardroom, his voice slicing through the thick tension like a razor. Sweat beaded on his forehead. His tailored suit rumpled from running his hands through his hair repeatedly. The phone pressed to his ear quivered slightly as he slammed it down, teeth gritted. At the far corner of the room, 9-year-old Lila Johnson clutched the edge of her father's security badge, her eyes wide as she tried to make sense of the chaos. The sleek, modern office felt suddenly too big, too loud, and somehow threatening. She had been waiting quietly after school, her backpack still slung over one shoulder, but now she couldn't look away. "What do you mean the documents are compromised?" Kane's voice rose, echoing off the glass walls. He spun to face the other executives, arms flailing in frustration. "We were minutes away from closing a $900 million deal, and now, it's gone. Gone!" Meanwhile, Jamal, the night shift security guard, leaned against the polished oak counter near the coffee station, brow furrowed, trying to process what he had just overheard. His hands gripped the mug tightly, knuckles white. He glanced at his daughter, who seemed frozen, caught between fear and curiosity. From the hallway, the interns whispered behind frosted glass, casting glances at Kane's explosive energy. In the corner, another executive muttered under his breath, clearly regretting he hadn't double-checked the signed papers earlier. Every pair of eyes seemed to carry its own pulse of panic. Then Lila's gaze caught something, a man slipping past the reception unnoticed, a folder tucked under his arm. Her heart thumped as a whisper of realization washed over her. This wasn't just a mistake. Someone had infiltrated the deal. Someone was trying to sabotage everything her father worked to protect. "Dad!" she shouted, breaking the silence. I think someone's stealing the papers." Kane froze, his fury momentarily replaced by disbelief. Jamal's eyes snapped toward the doorway just as Lila dashed forward, determination overriding fear. In that split second, the boardroom shifted from chaos to calculated alert, everyone instinctively recognizing that this child might be the only thing standing between millions lost and catastrophe. Gregory Kane sank into the leather chair at the head of the boardroom table, running both hands through his hair. His mind replayed the moments before the intrusion, the meticulous planning, the last-minute checks, the handshake moments that should have secured a $900 million deal. Now, every memory felt tainted. "Lila, stay back," Jamal whispered, but his daughter was already halfway across the room, tiny sneakers squeaking against polished concrete. Her instincts had kicked in. She could feel something wasn't right. Across from Kane, the room smelled of tension, coffee, and fear. Megan Torres, the company's CFO, was frantically typing on her laptop, double-checking the files. "Greg, I don't understand how someone could have bypassed our security protocols. The digital vault is impenetrable. Clearly someone's found a way," Kane said through gritted teeth, jaw twitching. "And I want to know who before anyone else finds out. This isn't just money, it's our credibility, our future." As the executives murmured, Lila's sharp eyes followed the intruder down the hallway. He wore a gray suit, perfectly tailored, carrying a slim leather folder. His gait was smooth, confident, predatory. Lila's pulse raced. She had seen enough spy movies to know what she needed to do, alert her father without causing panic. "Dad," she said urgently, tugging at Jamal's sleeve. "He's taking something, the papers." Jamal's eyes snapped toward the hall, alarm flashing. He took a careful step forward, knowing any sudden move could tip off the intruder. "Stay calm, Lila," he said quietly, scanning the room for help. But Kane, ever the leader, had already charged toward the entrance, barking at the executives to follow him. The hall was empty except for the intruder, but the sleek security cameras along the ceiling had captured everything. Kane stopped, his mind racing. Every option, every possible outcome. If the deal was lost, the company would crumble. And yet one small girl, one observant child, had spotted what everyone else missed. Lila ducked behind a sleek indoor planter, inching closer. She could see the folder now, partially open, with the name of the partner company and sensitive contract details. Her heart hammered. She had to act fast. Meanwhile, in the boardroom, Megan Torres realized something was wrong. "Greg, we're not alone. I just got alerts from the building sensors. Someone's inside our secure wing." "Show me," Kane demanded. He stormed toward the security hub, Lila trailing behind him, Jamal at her side. Screens flickered, displaying hallway feeds. There, unmistakable, a man with dark hair and sharp features moving quickly but cautiously. "Call the police," Kane barked into his phone, but Lila shook her head. "No! If they arrive, he'll know we're on to him. I can stop him first." Kane froze. Could this child possibly handle this? Yet there was a spark of clarity in her eyes, a fearless determination, something he hadn't seen in anyone in years. Against his better judgment, he nodded. "Okay, but stay safe. We don't need you getting hurt." Lila darted into action. Using the hallways and shadows, she crept toward the intruder, her mind calculating angles, exits, and timing. She knew she had only one one chance. If she alerted the wrong person, if she made a mistake, the $900 million deal could vanish in a heartbeat. The intruder, confident in his stealth, didn't notice her shadow until she was almost on him. "Stop right there!" she yelled, snatching the folder from his hands with an unexpected strength. He spun, eyes wide, caught off guard. Jamal rounded the corner, his imposing figure blocking escape. Kane followed, panting, furious but proud. "Who are you, and what did you think you were doing?" Kane demanded. The intruder's mask of confidence slipped. I was hired to," he began, but Lila cut him off. "You're not getting away with this, not today." The room held its breath. The tension crackled like electricity. Kane stared at his daughter, seeing something he hadn't expected. Courage, intelligence, a tactical mind beyond her years. The boardroom, the office, the entire company, all of it had just witnessed that one small, unexpected act of bravery. The intruder struggled, his hands clutching the folder Lila had wrested from him, but the girl's grip was surprisingly firm. Kane stepped closer, towering over him, fury radiating in every line of his body. "I don't care who hired you. You don't steal from my company. You don't steal from me." The man swallowed hard, eyes darting to the hallway where Jamal's presence was unmistakable. I was told, I was supposed to deliver it." Lila's eyes narrowed. "Deliver it? To who? Who's behind this?" She wasn't just a child anymore. Her voice carried authority, a tone that made even seasoned adults pause. Megan Torres peeked around the corner, her laptop forgotten. "We need answers now. This could be corporate espionage. International, maybe." Kane's phone buzzed incessantly. Texts, alerts, and urgent calls from the potential partners demanding updates. He ripped the phone from his pocket, pressing it to his ear, voice sharp, controlled, but boiling inside. "We've had an incident. Security handled it. I'll call you back in 5 minutes. Do not, under any circumstances, assume the deal is off." Meanwhile, Lila pulled the folder toward her, flipping it open just enough to glimpse the contents. Confidential contracts, terms, and signatures, everything the intruder had intended to sabotage. She traced her finger across a page, realizing the complexity of what she held. It wasn't just documents. It was leverage. It was power. And it was dangerous in the wrong hands. "Dad, he's lying. Someone higher up is behind this. Someone inside," she whispered, glancing at Jamal. Jamal's jaw tightened. He had known corporate environments could be ruthless, but espionage? This was a whole other level. He nodded at Kane, who was now processing the same chilling thought. "Inside, someone we trusted. Maybe even someone in this room." The intruder, sensing the accusation, tried a desperate escape, lunging toward the stairwell. But Lila, with surprising agility, shoved him back, nearly toppling him. "Not so fast!" Kane grabbed him by the collar, slamming him against the wall. "You're going to tell us everything. Names, contacts, why you were sent." His voice was low, dangerous. The intruder stammered, sweat rolling down his temples. It's not just me. There's a network, a spy embedded in your negotiations. I was supposed to delay the signature until they could intervene." Megan Torres gasped. "A spy? Here? Among us?" Her fingers flew over her keyboard, checking digital logs for anomalies. "I've already traced unusual IP access from one of our internal accounts." Jamal's eyes flicked to the boardroom cameras, then back to Lila. "Kid, you might have just saved more than a contract. You've saved the company from total ruin." Suddenly, Kane's phone vibrated again. He answered, trying to mask his exhaustion. "Yes?" The voice on the other line was impatient. "Gregory, our partners are getting nervous. They need confirmation this is contained. We can't afford delays." Kane took a deep breath, looking down at Lila. "This is your moment too, kid. We do this together." Lila nodded, scanning the intruder, the hallway, and the surrounding office. Then she did something unexpected. She accessed the folder's internal security tag. With a few swift taps, she sent an alert to all company devices. Intruder detected, internal breach, lockdown initiated. Lights flickered, glass doors locked, and the building's automated security system roared to life. The intruder froze, realizing escape was impossible. Kane and Jamal stepped closer, blocking every exit. Megan Torres watched in awe. "This child, she just saved our assets and gave us time to protect the deal. Incredible." The intruder finally broke, sweat dripping from his forehead. Okay, I'll talk." Kane leaned in. Names, now. He spilled everything. The spy's identity, a mole in a partner company, and the plan to sabotage the signature just minutes before finalization. Kane scribbled notes frantically, every revelation revealing the depth of betrayal. "Everyone in this room will be questioned," Kane declared, voice rising. "We cannot trust appearances anymore. Every employee, every associate, everyone." The mood shifted from panic to strategic alertness. Executives checked files, logs, and security protocols. Lila stayed close to Jamal, her eyes wide but determined. She realized that her small act of courage had triggered a chain reaction that could save or destroy the company. Hours passed. The intruder was secured in a containment room, monitored by security, while Kane coordinated with the partner company, ensuring the deal would wouldn't fall apart. Digital copies of the contract were verified, all signatures confirmed, and protective measures doubled. By late evening, the threat had been neutralized. Kane, exhausted, slumped back into his chair, watching Lila from across the room. "You did it," he said softly. "You saved everything, and probably taught us all a lesson in humility, too." Lila smiled faintly, proud but aware of the gravity of what had occurred. She had stepped into a world far beyond her years, a world of danger, strategy, and power. And for the first time, she understood the weight of responsibility, even for a child. By dawn, the boardroom had transformed. The chaos of the previous night had given way to a quiet, tense determination. Gregory Kane sat at the head of the table, exhausted but alert, watching the security feeds and the traces of the intruder's attempts to sabotage the $900 million deal. Lila perched on a chair beside Jamal, her legs swinging, still clutching the folder as though it were a shield. "This is it," Kane said, rubbing his temples. "Final review before the signature. No mistakes, no surprises." Megan Torres, already immersed in cross-checking files, glanced up. "Greg, the digital trail confirms the spy's manipulation. All backups are intact. We can proceed, but the partner company needs to be reassured that nothing is compromised." Kane nodded. "I'll handle the call. Lila," he looked at his daughter with a mixture of pride and disbelief. "You're coming with me. You helped prevent a catastrophe. Now you'll help make sure it doesn't happen again." Lila's eyes lit up. She had never imagined being part of a high-stakes negotiation, yet here she was, standing at the center of a real corporate battlefield. Jamal's hand rested lightly on her shoulder, a silent encouragement. The conference call connected. Kane, composed but firm, addressed the anxious executives on the other end. "We've identified and contained a serious internal breach. The documents are secure and all signatures verified. The deal will proceed as planned." On the other side of the line, one partner executive cleared his throat. "Gregory, this is unexpected but impressive. We were concerned about the timeline, but your security measures and swift action have restored our confidence. Let's move forward." Lila watched Kane, noting the slight relaxation in his posture, the first genuine smile of relief in hours. She felt an odd warmth, the sense that her small actions had truly made a difference. But the day was not over. Kane knew the mole's presence had left residual risks. Even as he signed digital confirmations, he reviewed the internal team with a fine-tooth comb, interrogating processes and ensuring no loopholes remained. Every employee was scrutinized, every access point double-checked. Meanwhile, Lila had become something of a celebrity in the office. The interns whispered excitedly, executives exchanged nods of appreciation, and Jamal quietly watched his daughter navigate a world of calculated risk. Kane finally broke the silence. "All right, everyone, meetings are suspended for the day. Take a moment, breathe, reflect, but remember, vigilance is now our mantra. Lila, you've earned a place in this story, officially." Lila blinked, both overwhelmed and proud. She had never expected to be called a hero by the CEO of a $900 million company. I just wanted to help," she said quietly, glancing at her father. Jamal nodded, pride etched in every line of his face. "You did more than help, kid. You protected people, including all of us." Hours later, the deal was officially signed. The $900 million partnership was secure. Kane leaned back in his chair, reflecting on the chaos, the near catastrophe, and the small hand that had stopped it all. Lila had taught him something invaluable. Courage could come from the least expected places, and vigilance and heart could overcome even the most calculated threats. Before leaving the office, Kane walked over to Lila. "You know, most people would never imagine a 9-year-old could handle this kind of pressure, but you did. You saved not just a deal, but a company, and probably a lot of livelihoods." Lila smiled faintly, shrugging. "I just saw what was happening, and I knew I had to do something." Kane extended a hand. "Then let's make it official. From now on, you're my little consultant. Just maybe leave the spy catching to the adults sometimes." Lila laughed softly. "No promises." The office finally breathed. Kane, Jamal, and Lila stood together near the windows, watching the sunrise reflect off the skyscrapers outside. In that quiet moment, a team had been forged in chaos, a deal had been preserved, and an unexpected hero had emerged. And for Lila, the day's adventure would become a story she'd never forget, a story of courage, quick thinking, and the realization that even the smallest people can make the biggest difference.